Welcome to Attican Plays Railway Empire. All right, hi, this is Attican and welcome to Series 10, Episode 2 of our Railway Empire Great Lakes DLC playthrough of Dominion Day. And we got off to a pretty good start in Part 1, or Episode 1. And we've got a pretty good little footprint here. It's going to create some pretty good money for us, which should give us the flexibility to move ahead reasonably well. And so let's take a look at what our new tasks are. We have to connect Moncton and Halifax into our system. And one thing for those of you who don't play the game a lot, what you need to understand is it said connect Montreal to Moncton, which is over here, and Halifax, which is over here. But that doesn't mean there has to be a line like we don't have to have a line literally going from Montreal to Moncton. It just means that, we've got this system here that's all connected, and now we just need to add Moncton to that system and add Halifax to that system. So that should not be an issue. Now let's just see what's going on in Moncton. What are they doing? They have an honest-to-God brewer that needs grain. Well, it just so happens we own a grain farm right over here. And what's going on here in Halifax? Look at this, another one of those trade centers. Here's how we're going to get our first cloth into the system over here. We're going to sell more wood to get that cloth moving. Now, so we'll need a wood source. Right there's one, nice and handy. We need the grain going to Moncton, and we have a couple of options. We could either go out here and get it, obviously, or we could take the one we own. I would much prefer we take the one we own. Or we could buy, we have the option of buying this one as well. And one thing I do want to look into before this price goes up, let's see if we can't buy this. Now, yes, we can. For 99 grand, we will make a bid on that wood. Okay, so now we own wood, so you can imagine it's going to go to Halifax, of course. So how do we want to do this? We've got beer, which we don't really need over in this system. We already have it. So we can use beer to feed Halifax, right? So two-city cluster kind of thing. So they can kind of feed each other, give customers for that beer. Since this is the only cloth we see, and we also, let's see, there's a cloth industry in Montreal, but where we need the cloth is in Saguenay, because in Saguenay we've got this tailor, which we own, by the way, and that tailor needs both the furs from up here and it needs cloth. Well, we're going to get the cloth from Halifax, so now we want to be able to run that cloth all the way to Saguenay. And we've got this big expensive bridge we built right here. If we can just loop into that and have a line running like so over to Halifax, we should be good. All right, so let's just do that. Let's use this bridge. I mean, we could consider, another bridge to go to Saguenay. We could even consider another station. Let's see how loaded up are. We're only 51%. These train stations with auto signaling are just amazing, because if you'll think back to the last episode, we were running lines from Montreal to Saguenay, and I didn't even build bypasses. They just ran through Quebec and did just fine. I did end up expanding Quebec to have did I? No, I didn't even expand it. Look at that. It's only 65% with lines running through it. And we could expand it and put 4 tracks there, speed things up, possibly, but we haven't even needed to yet. They are just really outstanding. The train station, they don't cost, with auto signals, they don't cost a lot. The only thing you give up is really the ability to control, like to have something waiting there to load. That's not good. And I do remember a mistake I found in editing the last one. I forgot to turn on veggies right there. So let's run some veggies in and get there we go. Get this guy going and carrying those veggies. All right. So where are we? Now the only thing is this is a clumsy bridge to get to. I will say that it is clumsy to get to. furthermore, it's you know, it goes right into this station, our grain station, and it's and we actually need to have a little room here. I need to put some signals to let trains queue up right here that are taking the grain over to Saguenay. So, can we do this? Well, of course we can do it. It's just, okay, let's just see what we can come up with here. Plus, we're just cutting right into the right into Mother Earth here. Let's see here. And we're going to have to cross our own track here. We could flat cross it, but let's just take that advantage of that little spot right there. Yeah. Go over that little low-lying spot and go in here and connect up. Let's run a connection right to Moncton, and we'll use those stations we just got through bragging on. Now that's going to be the right-hand side, so I want to scoot that over to there.
First important step to a higher sovereignty. This connection will solidify the position of the colonies of
And
North
go back
America.
like so. Let's give it a couple of towers. We're not actually going to use that line yet. That's I'm looking down the road for moving the cloth back over. Now let's have a little two-city cluster deal with Halifax and Moncton. And what are we going to feed them? They're small towns, obviously wood. Really not much else. It's just going to be kind of a little bit of grain, a little bit of wood. Unless a task comes for us to really grow them, we're not going to worry about growing them too much. So we spent a whole bunch of money. Let's make some money back. Okay, we'll put a train station with signaling control in Halifax, and we'll connect Halifax and Moncton, which is not the simplest connection ever. Some definite mountains and, well, let's see. We could go around like this, or we could just bite the bullet and build a little bridge. 127. Well, it doesn't cost us much more to just go straight at it, does it? Let's just do that. 127.
Our efforts here are significant. Due to the direct connection, people are getting access to a wide variety of commodities from the United Kingdom.
Okay, so now we need to take wood to Halifax, of course, and cloth to town. So deliver cloth. Perfect. All right, so we're all set up for that, should be. Give them a supply tower, and let's take the wood that we just purchased. Need some more money. Let's take the wood that we just purchased and find, we're dealing with some tough terrain here. We'd probably like to bring it in over here if possible. Connect it before, or past Moncton, if you will. No bridges, no tunnels. Okay. Okay, we've got 4 trains running logs from our logging. How much do they need at their current size? They need 1.5 a week. Our route is taking 70 days divided by 4. We could run another one. Run 5 trains. And we could, let's see, 1.5 a week. We're making 3.5 a week, so we're good. We're producing plenty to supply what it can put up, what it can do right now. Oh, and the other thing we wanted to do, here comes the snow again. But we do want to run some grain out here to Moncton. Why not? What's it need? It needs about 1 a week. Okay. So we can either add another station or expand. Let's expand this one. It seems cleaner. All right, we'll expand this station. And we'll go out this side and hook up with that line we just created. Go out of 3 and run full over to Moncton. Okay, and we should run a line between these 2 towns. Automatic line, yep. And give them a couple rail cars. Okay, now we're going to set up a line that goes from here, Halifax, to here. Priority is cloth. And there we go. Now what we can start thinking about, now that we've got some money, we can start thinking about repairing stuff. So let's start with our main stations and start setting up repairs. And our warehouse, our main warehouse, we can do our main warehouse. And this warehouse, since stuff goes directly there without anything else, and we could even do repairs out here. It's nice when you have a couple of dollars to rub together. Okay, so now we're actually repairing our stuff, and let's just, so that we don't, there. We're going to replace all the vehicles so that they're not all getting repaired at once. And we don't have that big slowdown on our economy. We're producing 3.2 and we're demanding 1.5, so we're good. We're good. We're getting plenty of wood. We've got, we should have Halifax to Saguenay. Yes, we should have. Yep, we got plenty of cloth heading over here to our tailor, which is now going to start making some money for us. Good deal. %, purchases. Oh, I like this better. I like the 10% off of locomotives. That's nice. We're already getting them at a decent price. I don't want that fishing village.
The overseas goods are highly valued at home. Lovely to see more commodities arriving from the North American colonies.
All right, so we've gotten our wood task, and we're working on the cloth, and we're in great shape on it. We've got the trains heading over here to Halifax where they can be used. Which kind of says we could set up a better industry if we know we have a tailor. Would there be something better we could do here? Well, there's plenty of good things, but we don't have, right now, I don't think we have access to any. No, we don't. We don't have access to the rest of the world yet. So I'm really at a bit of a loss to know what else we need to be doing right this minute. I think we've got it covered pretty well. He's getting plenty of grain, making more beer than is needed. In fact, they should be getting beer over here. Oh, they don't even need beer yet. They could use meat. We could grow them a little bit if we wanted to run meat, but that would have to come from maybe Quebec, which we could do. We could run meat from Quebec. Are we already tapping Quebec out? Let's see. No, look at that, 66. It could do a lot more. Yeah, let's do that. If we can get on this bridge without too much hassle. Oh, I guess we could just, instead of running it out of Quebec per se, we could run it out of the warehouse. That is probably an easier connection. Let's see if we can't do that. Let's give it a shot. It doesn't like that, does it? There, and go back the other way. Okay. Actually, that warehouse can feed. Oh, that's not bad. We'll just set this warehouse to run to here. we'll set that warehouse to run to here as well. And we're still not overly taxing this. Look at this. Saguenay is 90,000 people. We could put another industry in there. Oh, man, I wish I knew what to put. Industries. If we had... Can we get the milk yet? No, we can't. Dairy might not be bad eventually. We'll wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Oh, the nice thing is Moncton might even take beer back and put it in that warehouse. That would be nice. Uh-oh, what we got here? Loading. Do we own this? We do. Let's bump it up one. I think what's happening now is that we've got trains. Our need is not that great over here. Let's look at this. Yeah. So these warnings are not actually a problem. This just means we've got trains waiting. See there, we just now finally sent one off to Moncton. A promoter. Ooh, who do we want to promote? Oh, I wish I knew what was coming. I don't. Don't remember it that well. Let's promote Montreal. Get it over 60, we could give it a museum, and then it would have enough to just kind of maintain a small amount of growth. I don't pay blackmail. Another promoter. Oh man! Now where are these promoters when you need them at the beginning? Quebec. Where are we? 18. I'm going to expand the station. Let's open it up so we don't get this lot of traffic jam going back through here. And I'm going to expand this one since we're using it as a pass-through. And we're going to expand this one because it's a pass-through. And we'll expand this one because it's busy, a big town. and expand this one because I can. Okay, that's getting busy. I think what we're going to do here is put in a large train station with signaling control right there. You know what? In fact, let's do another bridge. And let's take all those trains that are going Halifax to Saguenay, and let's tell them to go right there. And that's actually going to hurt us because they're going to lose the loads they already had. And what happened here? Time out, time out. What happened here? I left out signals again. Oh man. I have played before, I promise I have. I'm going to add a couple. It really did hurt us there when I made that switch because we lost quite a bit of cloth that was on the way. Because when you switch the destination, you lose what you're carrying. It's not like you can just say, no, take that load somewhere else. You lose the whole load and you kind of start over. Yeah, we're almost there. Here comes a big load coming in right now. That'll get us over the top on this task. And we should be in good shape, I would think. Let's ride along. I wish they'd let you ride along in fast speed. Got a full moon. Not much to look at here, is there? Where is he? He's going. When he gets down here, we'll get back on and watch him go over the mountains or over the bridge. Get down here where there's a little more action. I'm just doing this. I'm doing this for two reasons. One, people say I never do it, so here you go. I'm doing it. And two, just killing a little time because we don't have enough tasks left, and everything's in pretty good shape. I don't know really where to go next. So here we go. We're going to go up this bridge, cross over another set of track. Oh, this bridge is too steep for us. This is why you don't want big elevations in your lines, but it's okay because we'll come down the other side and take off. That looks like grain, maybe? I'm not sure. All right, well, enough of that. Speed up. Let's go. We're at 37, so when he pulls in, we'll finish off this job, this next task. What industry did they put in there? Preservers. Okay.
Do you see the exquisite quality of the delivered goods? It will take years until local productions will reach a comparable level. Well, you have proved yourself able. I have decided to delegate full responsibility to you. This is a great honor, which comes with the burden of a giant pile of debt. If you manage to make the Grand Trunk Railway profitable again in a given time, then I will certainly be successful in convincing Her Majesty Queen Victoria in granting the colonies a higher level of independence.
Okay, so we've got to accumulate. How's that work? A company value of 15 million, which if you look at how it's racking up, is not going to be that hard to do. And we could look at it and say, okay, well, what else can we do? I like all the lines we're running. They're all pretty efficient, relatively speaking. They could be a little better. We've got some profitable businesses going on. We could certainly buy some businesses like the Moncton Brewery. What would it cost us? Oh, we could put another business in there if we wanted to. What would that brewery cost us? Oh, it's probably expensive. Yeah, very. We do have the opportunity to put something else in there. I'm not sure what would be that useful right now. We could also look at how can we leverage like that preserver there. We've got veggies. We could run veggies directly into Saguenay. Then we could, what else? It needs steel. Okay, steel. Steel. How do you get steel? Oh, here. Coal and iron ore. But we still don't have... He said he's given us everything, but not yet. Oh, well, they have opened... Okay, a little bit of the map has opened up. Oh, look here. We've got all this down here now. Good grief. What are we going to do with this? Oh, boy. Okay, we go all the way over to Thunder Bay and all along the southern border here down to London. So we're right up above Ohio. This is Toledo, Ohio. Where's Detroit? My geography's failing me here. Syracuse. Okay, so Cleveland would be here. Toledo. We got Minneapolis, Minnesota. Okay, it's Minnesota and Michigan, I guess. What to do, what to do. I mean, it'd be super easy to expand out in here. I guess, do we own all this now? It looks like we do. I think one way we could find out if we own it is, can we delete it? Yes, we can. Looks a little better. What's that? There we go. All right, so where are we? All right. All right, so let's see what we got here. We got a cloth business that uses. Oh, this one takes fur and makes it into cloth. That's interesting. Shoot, every time I look back, I found something else I didn't delete. Okay, so fur into cloth here. What's this? This is a trading center. It takes clothing and it makes tools out of clothing and wood. Oh, that's interesting. Do we have a clothing business up here in Saguenay that we own? So if we could hook up Saguenay, which is a big city, into this system down here, we could buy this. Let's see. We could have wood or meat, beer. Where are we going to get beer? We could get beer from Montreal and feed that into the system. We could get fur. Closest fur looks like here, I guess. Let's see. Fur. Yeah, they're all off in nowhere land except that one. Unfortunately, we had a little interruption here at the house, and there's a ton of background noise over the rest of the video. So I'm going to have to just do another voiceover, like I'm doing right now, to add commentary, and I had to delete the original commentary. And thinking back on it, I think that the overall body of railway empire knowledge can rest easy that no great insights have been lost. So we can move on. What I'm looking at here is doing a 4-city cluster with Sudbury doing the beer, and then Ottawa and London and Toronto playing in the game. And just really thinking out loud here. This is new territory, and I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I want to get it organized correctly. A 4-city cluster, particularly if they don't just line up in a nice big circle for you or something, or a straight line, it can be a little bit challenging. So I'm trying to think about how to do it, and I'm honestly right here I'm overthinking. If I just kind of stepped outside myself for just a second and thought, well, it's a 4-city cluster, run lines between all the cities and then go from there, this would have been a lot simpler. But at the end of the day, what I want to do is have the 4-city cluster where those can all build, and have it fed with some items up there. There's fur way up to the north east, and then all the way over in Saguenay there's clothing that we're going to pull over here. I don't know, but I don't think that's going to be very effective, honestly, because they don't have a whole lot to ship. Saguenay's kind of consuming it or shipping it off to towns around them. So there's not, this area we're looking at right here is we have to have the fur come down because that's the only fur we have access to right now. But the clothing from Saguenay's are actually not going to amount to a hill of beans, I don't think. Doesn't matter because we're coming up with an alternate plan here. And one reason I like to talk while I play rather than doing voiceovers like this is, see, I already know what's going to happen, right? So here I am commenting to you, and I already know what's going to happen. I know what changes I'm going to make. I know where I'm going to go with this. And it's really hard to stay in the moment and just talk like it's happening right now, because it isn't. I've already done this. Oh, sorry. I was just really close to making a political comment there. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Oh man, that one I almost couldn't hold that one back. Okay. There's really not a whole bunch to say here. You can see what's going to happen. We're going to bring the fur from the northeast. We're going to try to bring some clothing. But right there I'm checking to say, well, Saguenay's already got its cloth, so it's pretty well covered. And it's got its fur. And what we want to do here, what I've decided here is I want to buy this grain as long as it's, not ridiculously expensive. And it isn't, it's not exactly cheap. They weren't giving it away because it's close enough to the cities. It's been getting some business, but we can get it for a decent price. And right now, we're still in that part where we have competitors, but they haven't actually shown up yet. In other words, we're not really crossing paths with our competitors. So all these bids and stuff are really freebies. Nobody's going to overbid you.
The financial state of your business depends in great parts on the general economic progress. I highly recommend you to ensure direct access to parts of the US market. An intensified involvement in the exchange of commodities at the border would grant border crossing traffic for the Grand Trunk Railway into the USA.
Okay, so I don't know what that meant, but I do know we got some new tasks. You can see we're gaining on our company value. Now we've got to bring some furs down to Ottawa, some clothing to Toronto. So that's a little twist on what we're doing here. It certainly fits in what we were thinking about. Really was doing this more, build this up and help grow the company value, and also just do a good job down here and have something that would make our economy even stronger for whatever comes up next. But as it turns out, getting the fur down to Ottawa is to feed that trading center that's there. So what I decided to do here is attach a warehouse to Toronto. But that warehouse is going to be kind of sort of a regional. It's going to serve all 4 cities. And I decided to put the grain and logs in it for now and decide later on what we want to put. I still don't have, the thing is, the supply chain for this map is different, of course. And because we're so restricted in what we can get to, a lot of things we can't do. We can't do milk/dairy yet, because we can't get to the milk, that kind of thing. So it's really hard to have a total plan until you can get to all your resources. But anyway, let's buy that wood because it's going to be it'll pay back very quickly because it was cheap, and we can run it into that warehouse and get payback on it quickly and use it in 4 cities. So that one was an easy purchase. Just do it. So bought the wood. So we've got wood. We own wood and grain down here in this area. So set up line and run the wood into the warehouse. As I said, it'll recoup its money very quickly. It'll be a good investment. And if we can start loading now and get ahead of the game as those cities grow and need more of the logs, then we've got them there to pull out of a warehouse. Now here, I picked a train station rather than a small train station because I want to run the grain directly into Sudbury because that's where the beer is. So, and this is a normal beer that takes grain. So we're going to go out here and loop into that open platform there to the north and run, as I said, a line of grain directly into Sudbury. But then I've got that second platform that's free because what I want to do there is run grain down to that warehouse so that the other 3 cities, London, Toronto, and Ottawa, can draw grain from there because all the cities need the grain. And there I should have used probably a refrigerator car to get a bonus on that grain. It actually does help a grain. You do get a bonus for it, but I just didn't think of it. So now we're going to run down and connect Sudbury to the warehouse. And that can do a couple of things. Now we can piggyback off that line to put grain in there, and then of course Sudbury can start drawing from the warehouse and contributing to it if we put anything in there in products. So for example, we could put beer. We could easily put beer in the warehouse and let everybody draw from that. But what I really want to do, as I said a minute ago, is I really want to have all 4 cities talking directly to each other. In other words, having an automated line going to every one of the other cities in the cluster so that any manufactured goods will be shipped that way from the cities, and then we'll just have warehouses or other sources to give us the raw materials and other items that these cities can use for growth. Here we're setting up the line going down to the warehouse to take grain directly in so that the other cities can draw it out of there. And of course, we could do a model where we didn't even use warehouses, where we had freight lines connected to all these stations as well, and that's easy enough done. The nice thing about the warehouse model, though, is your rural stations just go to one place, and then if you can find a way to connect your warehouses into all your cities, you're good to go. If you don't do that, if you don't use the warehouses, then you're going to have a bunch of lines coming out of every rural station, which really kind of turns a small station out there grabbing wood into a 4-platform station with lines running off to every city if you want to run full. And so really the warehouses simplify your world. And I'll go back to a comment, something I read that Cheney had posted on Steam, and somebody was asking about when do you use warehouses and what have you, and he made the comment that he seldom does, And I would agree with that. I seldom do too, honestly. In most of if I'm doing a scenario, typically you don't have the time to do warehouses unless you got some money like we had here, or unless you have a special reason like the snow where you really do want to kind of get ahead and have some stuff stored up for the winter. And the reason I would do warehouses now is just because it really does help you organize everything, and we've got money. I mean, look at our money's coming in very nicely now. We've got an economic footprint we can grow from, and we're just making it stronger and stronger as we go, provided we do a good job with these things, which we intend to do. So the warehouses, I think sometimes people think I'm the warehouse guy because I did the whole series on warehouses, but honestly, I don't. This is about as much as I've ever used them in a scenario that I can recall. I know I use them, but I don't use them a lot because there's other ways to go. Anyway, having said that and thinking about it, it is true. I do use them some. I do use them, but usually later in the scenario. Usually, just like we're at this point where your money's really good, then I do like them. So. Decided to run furniture down there because we're not going to be making that in this 4-city cluster. So we've got it there in Grand Lock, Victoria. It could use a customer, so let's run some furniture down there, and then there may be something down there that Grand Lock could use that they can pull from the warehouse on the return trip. So we kind of decided on getting the cloth in there to pass it back and forth from Ottawa, and getting furniture and the clothing in there. And we'll just use that warehouse as our delivery mechanism for getting the clothing to Toronto, which is one of our tasks. Now, I'm not sure why I'm staring at Saguenay right now. Yeah, I'm looking at that and thinking, you know what, look at that. They're really not getting enough cloth from Halifax, and their production is really kind of slow. We'd go back and double check here, and yeah, sure enough, we see some cloth heading over there, but it's not. We're not exactly swimming in cloth here, and so it sort of underlies the decision or confirms the decision to try to build up that little 4-city cluster to create the cloth and the clothing that we have to do for the 2 of our tasks coming up. Now, while we were over there looking at Halifax, notice Halifax is growing, Moncton's been growing. I really like that idea of having that warehouse in Ottawa that actually feeds off to those remote sites, so they can't really get, the meat and stuff that they would like to have over there, but we can still grow them if we just simply take advantage of our warehouse that's, in some cases overproducing, and taking advantage of that and shipping it over to Halifax and Moncton. So I have to say I haven't done much of that where you kind of have that warehouse feeding off to the distance, but it seems to be very effective. And here I'm just trying to figure out how in the world I want to run fur down there into the new system we're trying to build, and it's a clumsy build up because I was originally I set the orientation of that station was obviously to optimize going into Saguenay, and now we're using it for something totally different, but that's okay. We'll make it work. And it's just a really, just struggled with this one because it just came in at the wrong angle, had a couple of misfires trying to get to fit. Now that one looks pretty good. That one looks like it's coming in at a nice obtuse angle and lining up. There we go. That's better. So we'll set up a line and run fur down into our new system we're trying to set up. And we'll run it down to the warehouse. And I hope I've caught that. I don't have fur turned on as something that the warehouse takes. And did I catch it? Yeah, I did. Good job. Good job. Okay. Now I notice, man, we're really, we need this business. We're going to buy this trading post. It's really a fur. I guess it's a trading post where all those trappers are out there in the woods, and they come in and sell their furs. And we're going to bump that thing up. We've got money, and we're going to bump it all the way up to a level 5 because we really need to be pushing furs. We can use them in Saguenay. Definitely need them in our new thing. So now we've got our company value up to $15 million.
For this purpose, Canada has to become more independent from English imports in the first place.
So you see our task here, the furs, the clothing, 1.5 million in freight. We're a little over $1 million in freight right now. So as we build up this area down here and start moving more stuff down here, we shouldn't have any issue getting that 1.5 million in freight revenue. Not that it's a gimme, but should not be that big of a challenge. Now, here we have a connection bonus for Toronto, and we want to have these city lines anyway. And I'm just double checking here to make sure I'm doing the right thing. I want to have the fur coming. The fur's going to the warehouse down there, so I want to definitely need that connection between Ottawa and the warehouse to grab the fur, to load it up into Ottawa, and then, of course, to use it to produce the cloth that we need. Now, that fur is going to get double hit because our tailors are going to need it too, because I think if I'm not sadly mistaken, they take fur and cloth. So you need fur to make the cloth, but you need fur again to make the clothing combined with the cloth. Since we're running so much stuff down here, even though these auto signal stations are really good pass-through stations, there's no reason to have any delays or run stuff through there when we don't have to, when we can give them a shorter run, cut out some potential traffic congestion, and make the run quicker. So just confirming, I love how they automatically take the bypass if it's available. So and now I'm looking at that connection bonus and saying, well, why don't we put a station in Toronto? The thing is here, it's weird because technically it's connected right now. But you have to have a connection to something. So I'm going to go ahead and build the line to Ottawa. Not that you needed the Ottawa line. If I just run up there and made a quick connection to the warehouse or something, that would have given us the bonus. But I want this line anyway, the one that goes Toronto to Ottawa. So it's gone through a whole bunch of money, mostly on upgrading that fur operation up there. And I want to get that bonus to help build out the rest of this. So I'm going to put in that little line right there just to get the bonus, because technically it really is connected right now. I mean, it's in our network right now. And if it wasn't in our network right now, we wouldn't have been able to build the station in Ottawa. So that to me is the proof that it is in our network. But to get the bonus, we had to do that little connection with the wood. And there you see me deleting a line because I set the signals backwards. And the easiest way, if you get refunds, the easiest way to fix a total blunder like that with the signals is just delete the whole track and put it back down, and then do the signals the correct way. So we'll keep going with this little thing. This is new for me, this whole dining car, mail car, even though you're using automatic lines, because I like it, because your passenger mail get a bonus, and you typically aren't carrying completely full loads of manufactured goods anyway, so it works out pretty nicely. So now I just need to have a connection between the warehouse and Ottawa. So it seems to me the easiest thing to do is come off of the line that we just set between Toronto and Ottawa and hook into that the log line over there. Now what I'm doing here is, one, I want to stay away from the two supply towers. Some of you can attest to the fact I tend to run all my connections right into supply towers and occasionally have trouble with it. But I just want to have a simple little connection like that. That's all it takes to now we've got Ottawa linked into the warehouse. Sudbury up there to the north is linked in, and Toronto is automatically linked in. So all we got to do is build a little line for London, and we've got our all four cities talking to that warehouse. So we'll start running some supplies out of the warehouse over to Ottawa, and big thing we'll want to get would be what do I want to say? First. So here we've got Toronto's grown. It's got a business opportunity, and I'm looking at it, and we have this requirement to transport clothing to Toronto. Now, if we're creating the clothing in Toronto, we're not going to get credit for that. So what I'm going to do here is actually knock down the meat industry in London, put the meat industry back in Toronto in that second spot, and hook up that cattle to the meat industry in Toronto. So we'll still have beer and meat in our system, but and then put a winter clothing business, a tailor, over there in London, and that way we'll be able to take advantage of the whole thing and make the clothing and ship it over to Toronto. So that's the plan. And we're kind of running up to the end here. It's getting pretty long, so why don't we cut off right here, and we come back on the next one, we'll see if we can't flesh out a really good four-city cluster. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Railway Empire video. Thank you.